The door of the bustling soup kitchen slammed shut in Elias Thompson's face, the volunteer's words echoing like a death knell. "Sorry, sir. We're out no more today." At 96, with trembling hands clutching an empty tin cup, Elias stumbled back into the biting winter wind, his stomach gnawing at itself like an old enemy returned. But in that moment of utter humiliation, as tears froze on his weathered cheeks, he whispered a vow to the empty street. This wouldn't be the end, not for a man who'd survived wars, losses, and secrets buried deeper than graves. Elias shuffled down the cracked sidewalk of downtown Chicago, his worn-out coat flapping like a flag of surrender. The city lights blurred through his failing eyesight, but the hunger was sharp, unrelenting. He'd come to the kitchen every Tuesday for months now, ever since his Social Security checks barely covered the rent on his tiny apartment. No family visited. His children had scattered long ago, grandchildren too busy with their own lives, and great-grandchildren mere names and faded photos. "Just one more day," he muttered, leaning against a lamppost for support. Passers-by hurried past, their eyes averted, as if poverty was contagious. Back in his dimly lit room, Elias collapsed onto the sagging bed, the springs groaning in sympathy. He pulled out a crumpled newspaper from under the mattress, the only luxury he allowed himself these days. Flipping through the pages, he paused at the obituaries, wondering when his own name might appear. But tonight, something caught his eye, a small article about forgotten veterans. It stirred memories he'd locked away for decades. Elias had been a young man during World War II, enlisting at 18 with dreams of heroism. What followed weren't just battles. They were nightmares that shaped him into the silent survivor he was now. As sleep evaded him, Elias's mind wandered to his youth. Born in 1929 on a dusty farm in rural Illinois, he'd grown up during the Great Depression, learning early that life didn't owe anyone a thing. His father, a stern man who'd lost everything in the crash, taught him resilience through backbreaking labor. "We eat what we earn," his father would say, and Elias carried that mantra through life. But now, at 96, earning anything seemed impossible. His body betrayed him, arthritis twisted his fingers, and a bad hip made walking a torture. The denial at the soup kitchen wasn't just about food. It was a denial of his very existence. The next morning, Elias woke to the sound of his neighbor's radio blaring news about economic hardships. He forced himself up, brewing weak coffee from reused grounds. Sipping it slowly, he stared at the wall where a single photo hung. Him in uniform, 1944, smiling with buddies before D-Day. Those men were gone now, ghosts in his dreams. He hadn't spoken of the war in years. What was the point? Heroes were for movies, not forgotten old men begging for scraps. Venturing out again, Elias headed to the library, his one sanctuary. The librarian, Mrs. Patel, always saved him a seat by the window. "Morning, Mr. Thompson," she said warmly, handing him a fresh newspaper. He nodded gratefully, settling in to read. But as he scanned the headlines, a story about elder abuse in nursing homes made his blood boil. It reminded him of his late wife, Clara, who'd passed in one such place 10 years ago. They'd been married 65 years, her death leaving a void no amount of time could fill. Lost in thought, Elias didn't notice the young woman approaching until she spoke. "Excuse me, sir, are you all right?" She was in her 30s, with kind eyes and a notebook in hand. "I'm Lena Ramirez, a reporter for the local news. I'm doing a piece on senior citizens facing food insecurity. Would you mind sharing your story?" Elias hesitated, his voice rusty from disuse. But something in her gaze, genuine concern, made him open up. He told her about the soup kitchen, the loneliness, the struggle to survive on pennies. Lena listened intently, jotting notes. "That's heartbreaking, Mr. Thompson. Have you always lived alone?" He shook his head, mentioning his family briefly, avoiding the pain. As they talked, she asked about his past. "What did you do before retirement?" Elias paused, then whispered, "I served in the war." Her eyes widened. "World War II? That's incredible. Mind if I dig a bit deeper for the story?" He shrugged, not expecting much. Little did he know, this conversation would unearth secrets long buried. Over the next few days, Lena visited Elias at his apartment. She brought sandwiches, which he accepted with quiet thanks. As they chatted, she learned fragments of his life. The farm boy turned soldier, the horrors of Normandy, the medals he'd hidden away. Why hide them, she asked. Because glory doesn't feed you, he replied bitterly. But Lena sensed more. She started researching, calling archives, interviewing historians. What she found stunned her. Elias wasn't just a soldier. He'd been part of a covert operation that saved hundreds of lives. Meanwhile, Elias's health declined. The hunger weakened him further, leading to a fall in his kitchen. Neighbors called an ambulance, and he ended up in the hospital, tubes snaking into his arms. Doctors shook their heads. Malnutrition at his age was dangerous. Lying there, Elias reflected on his life. Had it all been for nothing? The war, the family, the sacrifices? Tears welled as he thought of Clara, wishing she were here. Lena, hearing of his hospitalization, rushed over. Mr. Thompson, I found something amazing. She pulled out documents, declassified files showing Elias had single-handedly decoded enemy messages during a critical battle, preventing a massacre. You're a hero, she said, voice trembling. Elias stared, disbelieving. That was ages ago. Means nothing now. But Lena disagreed. It means everything. I'm running the story tomorrow. The news hit like a storm. Headlines blared. 96-year-old veteran denied food. Forgotten hero's tale. Calls flooded infamily members he'd lost touch with, veterans groups, even the mayor. Elias's hospital room filled with visitors, flowers, and meals. His great-granddaughter, Sophie, whom he'd never met, flew in from California. Grandpa Elias, I'm so sorry, she sobbed, hugging him. The twist came unexpectedly. Sophie revealed she'd been searching for him, inspired by old family letters Clara had left. As Elias recovered, the outpouring continued. Donations poured in, securing him a comfortable home. But the real change was internal rekindled purpose. He began speaking at schools, sharing his story, emphasizing compassion for the elderly. We all have secrets, he'd say, but kindness reveals them best. Yet, shadows lingered. Elias wondered if this fame was fleeting. One night, a mysterious letter arrived from an old comrade's son, hinting at another secret, a wartime promise unfulfilled. It promised to upend everything again. The letter trembled in Elias's gnarled hands, its postmark from a small town in France he'd last seen through the haze of gunfire. Dear Mr. Thompson, it read, my father spoke of you often before he passed. You saved his life in '44, but there's more a promise you made to return for something buried. It's time. Elias's heart raced. Memories flooded back of that rainy night in Normandy, where he'd hidden a cache of documents that could rewrite history. Discharged from the hospital, Elias returned to his apartment, now buzzing with activity. Volunteers from the Veterans Association had cleaned it, stocked the fridge, and even installed a new bed. Sophie stayed with him, her presence a balm to his soul. Tell me about the war, Grandpa, she urged one evening over homemade stew. He hesitated, but her earnest eyes coaxed stories out. The beaches stained red, the friends lost, the quiet acts of bravery that went uncelebrated. As word spread, more family arrived. His son, Marcus, whom he hadn't seen in 20 years, showed up sheepishly. Dad, I should have been there. The news. It woke me up. Elias forgave with a nod, though the pain lingered like an old wound. They talked late into the night, bridging decades of silence. But amid the reconciliation, Elias couldn't shake the letter. What promise? His mind, foggy with age, struggled to recall. Lena, the reporter, became a regular visitor. Her article had gone viral, earning her a promotion, but she credited Elias. You're the star, she said, handing him fan mail. One letter stood out from a historian in Paris, confirming the covert op. Your decoding saved an entire village, it stated. Elias felt a surge of pride, mixed with regret. Why had he hidden it all? The twist arrived unannounced. A knock at the door revealed Henri Duval, the letter's sender, a man in his 70s with a thick French accent. Monsieur Thompson, I am the son of Jean Duval, the resistance fighter you aided. Henri explained. During the war, Elias had promised to retrieve a hidden artifact, a locket containing photos and codes that proved Allied resistance collaborations, lost in the chaos. My father died believing you'd return. Now, with your story in the news, I found you. Elias's eyes widened as fragments clicked. Yes, the locket Jean had entrusted it to him before a raid, but the battle separated them. Elias buried it near a bombed church, vowing to come back. Post-war life, marriage, work, family pushed it aside. I forgot, he admitted, voice cracking. Henri smiled gently. But now, we can honor it together. The revelation shifted everything. News outlets pounced. Hero's hidden promise. 96-year-old to unearth World War II relic. Elias, once denied food, now dined with dignitaries. Sophie organized a trip to France, funded by donations. This is your legacy, Grandpa, she said. But Elias worried his frail body might not endure the journey. Preparations brought emotional highs and lows. Elias visited Clara's grave, whispering updates. Our story's not over, love. Marcus shared his own struggles, divorce, job loss fostering deeper bonds. Henri stayed, regaling tales of his father's heroism, paralleling Elias's. It humanized the war, showing how ordinary people became extraordinary. One afternoon, a school group visited. Children wide-eyed, asking questions. Were you scared? A boy queried. Every day, Elias replied. But fear teaches courage. A girl handed him a drawing. An old man with a medal, caption my hero. Tears flowed. The value of sharing hit home. Yet, doubts crept in. Was this attention deserved? Elias confided in Lena. I was just doing my duty. She countered, duty changes lives. Yours did. Her words bolstered him as they boarded the plane to France, a media circus in tow. Landing in Paris, Elias felt time warp. Crowds cheered at the airport, veterans saluting. They drove to Normandy, the landscape evoking ghosts. At the church ruins, now a memorial, Elias pointed with a shaky finger. There, under the oak. Digging commenced, cameras rolling. The locket emerged, tarnished but intact. Opening it, Elias saw Jean's photo, a young family smiling. Henri embraced him. Thank you for keeping the promise. Elias wept, the weight lifting. This wasn't just about food or fame. It was redemption, connecting past to present. Back home, Elias's life transformed. He moved in with Sophie, surrounded by family. Speeches at events emphasized elder respect, wartime lessons. Never forget the old, he'd say. Their secrets hold our history. But another envelope arrived, from an anonymous source, hinting at a family secret tied to the war. Elias's pulse quickened. What more could change? The anonymous envelope lay on Elias's kitchen table like a ticking bomb. Its contents a single faded photograph. A young woman in 1940s attire, holding a baby, with "Find her" scrawled on the back. Elias's hands shook. The face was familiar, a ghost from the war he'd never mentioned. As family bustled around, celebrating his return from France, he slipped the photo into his pocket, heart pounding with unspoken dread. The Normandy trip had elevated Elias to national icon status. Interviews piled up, books offers came, even a documentary. Sophie managed it all, her tech savvy turning his story viral. Grandpa, you're trending, she exclaimed, showing TikToks of youth recreating his tales. Elias chuckled, but fame's glare wearied him. At 96, he craved quiet reflection, not spotlights. Henri returned to France, but stayed connected via video calls, the locket now in a museum. Their friendship bridged continents, a testament to enduring bonds. Marcus, inspired, volunteered at soup kitchens. Dad, you taught me service, he said. Elias nodded, proud yet humble. The denial of food seemed distant now, replaced by abundance. But the photo haunted him. Nights, he'd stare at it, memories resurfacing. During the war, in a liberated village, he'd met Maria, a nurse who'd tended his wounds. A brief romance bloomed amid chaos, ending when duty called. He never knew if she'd survived. The baby, could it be? Lena sensed his distraction. What's bothering you, Mr. Thompson? Over coffee, he showed her the photo. This came anonymously. I think there might be a child. Lena's journalist instincts ignited. Let's investigate. She traced the postmark to New York, contacting genealogists. Meanwhile, Elias engaged in community work. He spoke at senior centers, sharing, age doesn't diminish worth. Listen to our stories. Listeners nodded, some sharing their own plights. One woman, Ethel, confessed being denied aid due to bureaucracy. Elias advocated for her, his voice carrying weight now. The twist unfolded dramatically. Lena uncovered records. Marie had survived, moving to America post-war, raising a daughter Elias's. The child, now 78, named Isabel, lived in seclusion. The anonymous sender? Isabel's son, who'd seen Elias on news and connected dots via DNA tests. Elias reeled. A daughter? Grandchildren unknown? Sophie comforted him. This is a gift, Grandpa. Arrangements were made. Isabel agreed to meet, her voice tentative on the phone. Father? After all these years. The reunion was poignant. At a quiet park, Isabel approached, silver-haired and elegant. You look like your mother, Elias whispered, embracing her. Tears flowed as she recounted. Marie's letters to Elias returned undelivered, assuming him dead. Isabel grew up fatherless but strong. I followed your story. The hero Marie described. Family expanded overnight. Isabel's children and grandchildren arrived, filling Elias's home with laughter. Marcus welcomed siblings, Sophie gained aunts. Stories intertwined were as ripples affecting generations. Elias marveled at life's twists, from denial to discovery. But healing brought pain. Isabel shared Marie's diary, detailing heartbreak. Elias apologized profusely. I should have searched. She forgave, or stole choices. Now we have time. Publicly, The Secret amplified his message. News. World War II hero's lost daughter found. Elias used platforms for advocacy, elder rights, family reunions, historical truths. Secrets divide, but revelation unites, he told audiences. Daily life normalized with joy. Picnics, holidays. Elias savored it. Health improved with care. Doctors noted his spirit's role. You're defying age, one said. Yet, another layer emerged. Isabel revealed Marie had hidden letters from Elias, fearing rejection. Reading them, Elias found his own words of love, promises unbroken. It closurized the past. As winter approached, Elias reflected by the fire. From that soup kitchen door to here miraculous. Life's not about what we're denied, he told Sophie, but what we reveal. One evening, a call from Henri. The museum found more artifacts linked to you. Elias smiled. What next? The call from Henri crackled with excitement. Elias, the locket led to a hidden vault, documents proving more saves than we knew. Elias leaned back in his armchair, surrounded by family photos now crowding the walls. At 96, secrets kept unveiling, each peeling back layers of a life he'd thought simple. But with Isabel integrated, bonds strengthened, he felt ready for whatever came. The vault's contents, maps, codes Elias had encrypted, saving not hundreds but thousands. Historians hailed him, awards ceremonies beckoned. Elias accepted humbly, dedicating honors to forgotten veterans. I'm no exception, he'd say. Many suffered in silence. Family rallied. Isabel organized trips. Marcus handled logistics. Sophie, now his manager, filtered requests. Grandpa needs rest, she'd insist. Evenings, they gathered, sharing meals, ironic contrast to his past hunger. Laughter echoed, healing old wounds. Lena's book on Elias hit shelves, royalties funding elder charities. Your story inspires change, she told him. Indeed, policies shifted, increased senior aid, veteran support. Elias testified in Congress, voice steady, denying no one dignity. Personal growth bloomed. Elias journaled, recounting not just war, but life's beauties. Clara's smile, children's first steps, now great-great-grandkids' giggles. Isabel added Marie's perspectives, enriching the narrative. A surprise visitor, the soup kitchen volunteer who denied him. Sir, I didn't know. I'm sorry. Elias embraced him. You taught me to speak up. The man joined advocacy, turning regret to action. As spring arrived, Elias turned 97. A massive party, family, friends, dignitaries. Toasts celebrated resilience. To secrets revealed, Sophie said. Elias, teary, replied. To kindness that uncovers them. Health challenges arose, a minor stroke, but support carried him. Doctors marveled. Your purpose fuels you. Rehabilitation involved storytelling sessions, therapeutic for all. The final twist, an international foundation in his name, aiding elderly worldwide. Elias chaired it remotely, emphasizing human values, compassion, forgiveness, legacy. Reflecting, Elias saw his journey's arc from denial to abundance, isolation to connection. Life changes when truths emerge, he mused. In quiet moments, he whispered to Clara, we did good. Peace settled, a man fulfilled. But whispers of more artifacts surfaced, promising further revelations. Elias smiled. Adventures never end.